Socks stay on during a road trip, please and thank you. Oh, you can't get bitches, you're gay. Hey, quick question, what the are we doing here? Top 5 least sexy cars in no particular order. Hey Amelia, how are you? It's been about 1,000 years. I'm sorry I dropped off the face of the earth, but there's one thing about me is that I will not post for 3 months and then come back with a Colleen Hoover video. That is part of my personal brand. It is who I am, and I will not apologize for it. What can I say? A Colleen Hoover book gets me out of a reading slump in a big, huge way. This book is so stinking funny. I cannot wait to talk about it. First of all, I did not have any context for this book before I started reading it. I do that with most of my books. I'll just be like, this looks fun. I would highly recommend that approach to this book in particular because, oh my god, what a wild ride. I had no idea where it was going from start to finish. It was chaotic and I loved it. This will also probably be my last Colleen Hoover book, which hooray or aw, depending on who you are. So basically, this is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Hello, here she is. This book, every chapter, first of all, switches perspectives and also goes from present to 6 years earlier. So the present chapters are from the perspective of Tate, who is like the girl, the female love interest, and 6 years ago is from the perspective of Miles. And like I said, it bounces back and forth every single chapter. It's hard to keep up with, but just I will try my best. I know that usually I am a hater of dual POVs. They are not my favorite thing in the world because usually one is less interesting than the other and I get bored. And in this book, there is one that is less interesting than the other, but they're both like, it's like watching a car wreck, both of them, so you can't really look away. So it's kind of fine. I'm fine with it. This is the opening sentence of this book. Somebody stabbed you in the neck, young lady. My eyes widen and I slowly turn towards the elderly gentleman standing at my side. One thing about Colleen Hoover, she slays an opening sentence. She knows how to write the first page of a book. I don't even care. That's good. I'm interested. I am engaged. So the guy who said that she got stabbed in the neck, his name is Captain. He's like 75 and he runs the elevator in this building that Tate is staying in. It's a high rise in San Francisco. Basically, Tate is a nurse and she's moving back in with her brother who lives in San Francisco. Her brother is a pilot, a flight captain. She's moving into San Francisco to get, I think, her master's degree. She's 23 and her brother Corbin is 25. So Corbin, being a pilot, he was out of town when Tate first arrived. So she pulls up to his apartment and there's this random man passed out on the floor outside of the door of Corbin's apartment. I can't remember which apartment number he said was his. It's either 1814 or 1816. I come to a stop at 1814 because there's a guy passed out on the floor of the hallway leaning against the door to 1816. Please don't let it be 1816. I find the message on my phone and cringe. It's 1816. So who is that guy? Tate calls Corbin and she's like, hey, there's a random man at your door. He's like drunk and passed out and I can't get through. He's leaning against the door. And she also goes on the phone with Corbin. It's too bad he's wasted, I tell Corbin. He's not bad looking. Okay, Corbin stays on the phone with her. She tries to get around him, and she finally does, so she gets into the apartment, but she's left all of her stuff outside. Corbin is like, I'm gonna call my buddy to come help you out. And guess what? Tate hears a little phone ringing outside. The drunk guy in the hallway is Corbin's buddy Miles. So somehow Miles ends up inside the apartment. I don't remember how it happened. It was a whole thing. And he's like weeping and crying like really hard and loud. And he keeps calling Tate Rachel. And he's like, I'm sorry, Rachel, I'm sorry. And Tate is like, who is this girl, Rachel? And what the hell did you do to her? I am not her. And then we jump to 6 years earlier. This one is from Miles' perspective. Miles is in high school. He's showing this like new girl around. The principal is like, Miles, can you show this girl around? Her name is Rachel. Anyway, he's showing Rachel around and whatnot because she's new, because she just moved here from Phoenix. He meets her and immediately is in love with her, which unfortunately is a little bit me-coded, except for it's not me-coded because Miles is fucking creepy. I want to text Ian and tell her that she isn't hot. I want to tell him that she's volcanic, but he would laugh at that. Instead, I discreetly take a picture of her from where I'm seated. I send the picture to Ian with a message that says, she's gonna have all my babies. What? That is disgusting. Not the day that he shows Rachel around, but I think the next day they plan to like go on a little date or something. Anyway, back to Tate, and also it's the next morning from the whole drunk debacle. And Miles has come, like, sort of, he's sobered up. He's back to his senses. Tate is still a little bit mad at him because, obviously, but she also thinks he's hot and sexy. Miles is not the person I want to be feeling this for. I don't want to be attracted to a guy who drinks himself into oblivion, cries over other girls, and can't even remember if he screwed you the night before. But it's hard not to notice his presence when his presence becomes everything. We are 30 pages in. I'm tired of her bullshit. I'm over it. Also, Corbin is is there, Tate's brother. So Miles is flirting with Tate in front of Corbin, but Tate is fucking stupid, so she can't pick up on it. "Hi," Miles finally says. He steps forward and completely ignores unspoken elevator etiquette by stepping too close and holding out his hand. "Miles Archer, I live across the hall from you, and I'm confused." Why are you confused? He's flirting. That's what flirting is. Okay, back to Miles 6 years earlier. I tell you, it's every single chapter, so like this is happening a lot. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just a poorly written book. Miles's mom died less than a year ago from the 6 years earlier. So we're keeping track of the timeline. The present is now with Tate, and then 6 years earlier is when Miles's perspective is from, and then a year before that is when his mom died. So his mom died 7 years ago from the present, 1 year ago from the Miles chapters. But Miles's dad is seeing this woman named Lisa, and Lisa is coming over for dinner, and she's bringing her daughter, and her daughter is literally Rachel, the girl that Miles said she's gonna have all my babies. Ugh. My eyes meet the eyes of the girl standing behind her. The eyes of the girl standing behind her meet mine. "You're gonna fall in love with me, Rachel." "Miles," she says in a broken whisper. Rachel sounds a bit like her mother, but sadder. Also, Miles sort of put it together that Lisa and his father had been seeing each other since before Miles's mom died. And like, I think she had cancer and it was really traumatic for him, so it's kind of shitty for him to be like, "Hey, I'm sorry your mom died. Here's this woman I was seeing, and now that she's dead, we get to be with each other." That's crazy. Back to the present. Corbin is having this like boy movie night where they watch sports. It's Miles and their other friend Dylan, and Dylan has a wife but is certainly hitting on Tate. And one thing about a Colleen Hoover book is the main character, everybody wants her. So Tate is in the kitchen, she's trying to study, and Dylan, which is spelled Dillon, which is the wrong way to spell that name, just so we're on the same page. Dylan is hitting on her, and then Miles comes in, and he's like, "Game just started," Miles says, walking into the kitchen, directing his words towards Dylan. His words might be innocuous, but his eyes are definitely telling Dylan that he needs to return to the living room. And then Miles tells Tate to go study at his place so that she can have some like peace and quiet. Tate is like, "I'm fine staying," and Miles is like, "I'm not fine with you studying here. Not until everyone leaves. Go. Take your sandwiches with you." That's weird, though, because you don't know her really like that. I think they've met like twice. So, not a fan of that energy, but like live, laugh, love, or whatever. So she goes to Miles's apartment, which is the apartment directly across from Corbin's apartment, and he has clearly never felt the touch of a woman. The apartment vibe is like, straight man apartment, like no curtains, gray bed sheets, one pillow, one bowl, one plate, one cup. Like, it's that sort of energy. No rug. Barren. The interior decorating sends a shiver down my spine for this man. So she, like, cleans up his house a little bit, and then the game is over, so he comes back, and she goes... So she had, like, drank some orange juice while he was out. He notices the orange juice still out on the counter, so he picks it up and puts it back in the refrigerator. "Sorry," I mutter. "I was thirsty." He turns his face to me and leans his shoulder into the refrigerator, folding his arms over his chest. "I don't care if you drink my juice, Tate." Oh, wow. That was an oddly sexy sentence. So was his presence in delivering it. It's not. That's not sexy. Get a grip. So they're talking about her brother Corbin and making small talk, and she is straight up staring at Miles's crotch. Be so for real right now. Be so honest. What are we doing? What are we doing? Then she brings up Rachel, and immediately the vibes change. The vibes are bad. Then we cut to 6 years ago. Miles and Rachel and Lisa and Miles's dad, who I don't think has a name yet, they're having family dinner, and Rachel and Miles are washing up afterwards. Rachel tells Miles that their parents have been seeing each other for over a year, and remember that Miles's mom died less than a year ago, so he certainly was cheating. And then Rachel and Miles kiss! My hand fits her waist. My eyes search hers. They don't tell me no, so I do. When my lips touch hers, it's so many things. It's good and bad and right and wrong. Okay, so just to clarify, when they met each other, they did not know that their parents had been dating for over a year. But when they found that information out, they in fact decided to continue sort of engaging in non-platonic interactions, and that feels fucking weird to me. I don't love it. Like, if it were me, I wouldn't do that. If I were in this situation, I simply wouldn't kiss my step-sibling. Like, it doesn't feel that hard, but I'm not him, so maybe he's going through something different. Also, it's not like they were seeing each other for a long time before their parents met, or before they knew that their parents knew each other. It's been days, maybe 1 week. You can't keep it in your pants. I have serious concerns for you. So back to now, and it's Thanksgiving. Corbin and Tate are driving down to San Diego to spend Thanksgiving with their family, and Miles comes too because he's a lonely man with no family and no loved ones. Although, and this is sort of like fast forwarding a bit, I think his dad is still alive, so I don't know why he's not spending Thanksgiving with his family. I don't know. Anyway, so he goes to Tate and Corbin's family for Thanksgiving. Miles is driving and Corbin immediately falls asleep and Tate is in the back. So they're like looking at each other through the rearview mirror. Babe, you gotta focus on driving. I'm trying not to get into a car accident. Can you imagine being in a flirting related car accident? I would be humiliated. If that were me, I would be humiliated. Tate is sitting in the back and she's got her feet on the center console of the car. 100% dogs out, might I add. No shoes, no socks, which is diabolical for a road trip. That cannot be. Socks stay on during a road trip, please and thank you. That's a boundary for me. Miles puts his hand on the center console. Tate is like, oh, sorry, and she goes to move her feet out of the way and he grabs onto a foot, starts stroking it. And Tate thinks this is the sexiest thing that she's ever encountered. His fingers wrap around my bare foot, stopping me. You're fine, he says. His hand is still wrapped around my foot. I'm staring at it. Holy hell, his thumb just moved, deliberately moved, stroking the side of my foot. My thighs clench together and my breath halts in my lungs and my legs tense because I'll be damned if his hand didn't just caress my foot before he pulled it away. Okay, but let's talk about it. I think that being dogs out on a road trip should be illegal. You should get pulled over for that. Why? In all these books is there a feet thing? I hate feet. Get it out of my sight. So they get to Tate's family's house. Her mom is like, ooh, Miles is pretty handsome, and Tate gets all flustered. Then it's 6 years earlier. Let's fucking talk about it. This is the worst book I've ever read. It's the night after their awkward family dinner with Lisa and Rachel and Miles's dad. Both Rachel and Miles are like, we can't do this. And Miles is like, well, what if our parents break up? Then it's fine. Rachel is like, I overheard her on the phone with him yesterday. She looks back up at me. We're moving in with you in 2 weeks. Stop it. So they decide that since they're both seniors in high school and are going to colleges on the opposite side of the country in 7 months, that they're going to be romantically involved with each other, but only until they graduate, and then they'll just stop. The whole situation is very questionable, and it is giving teenagers came up with it. This is a plan that a teenage boy came up with, and it shows, okay? Back at Thanksgiving, back to the present. Miles cut his hand on a ladder. I'm not sure what he was doing up on the ladder, but he cut his hand and he was on a ladder. But good thing Tate is a nurse. Hope this doesn't have any implications for their relationship. So she literally gives him stitches just in the bathroom. No numbing, no nothing. Which, do nurses not take an oath of care? Because that feels like you shouldn't do that. That feels like if you're a nurse, you should know to take that person to the hospital. Anyway, she does these stitches herself. And the whole time she's thinking about how hot and sexy he is and how attracted to him she is. And then after she finishes stitching up his hand, they kiss, and not a cute little peck. No, they're making out in this bathroom. They're going at it. It's crazy. And then he's like, don't let me do that again, he says. I want him to do that again more than I want Thanksgiving dinner, but I don't tell him that. I can't speak because his regret is caught in my throat. I don't love that because it sort of feels it creates the perfect environment for just some boundary pushing. A little victim blamey. Miles, babe, you have free will. You can decide to not. So over Thanksgiving dinner, Corbin is like, Miles is gay. Surprise, Miles is gay. My mother points her fork at Miles. He's gay, honey, she says. Miles isn't gay, I say defensively, looking at my mother. Oh shit, Corbin says. I didn't know it was a secret, dude. I'm sorry. Miles lowers his spoonful of mashed potatoes to his plate, still eyeing Corbin with a perplexed look about him. I'm not gay. Corbin nods. He holds up his palm in the mouth. I'm sorry, he didn't mean to reveal such a big secret. Miles shakes his head. Corbin, I'm not gay. I've never been, and I'm pretty sure I never will be. What the hell, man? Miles told Corbin, a long time ago, that he hadn't been with a woman for 3 years, and in Corbin's brain, he's like, that must mean you're gay. Oh, you can't get bitches, you're gay. When, in fact, that's not what he said at all. So that night, Miles and Tate end up talking. Turns out, Miles is low-key, kind of an asexual baddie, or at the very least, somewhere on that spectrum, because it has been 6 years since he had sex with or even kissed a girl, and he said, I have no interest in that. I do not feel desire in that way. That's sort of the vibe he's bringing into the world, which love it. Good for you. So Tate goes, everyone wants love, I say, or at least sex. It's human nature, which not true. And Miles says, most people can't have one without the other, so I find it easier to just give up both. So he's like, it's been 6 years since I've kissed or had sex with a girl. Wait a second. We know it was 6 years ago. Rachel, don't love that vibe. Basically, he's like, I'm attracted to you, Tate, he says, his voice low. I want you, but I want you without any of that other stuff. I wait till I can think again. Then I think a lot. He just admitted that he wants to have sex with me. He just doesn't want it to lead to anything. I don't know why this flatters me. It should make me want to punch him, but the fact that he chose to kiss me after not having kissed anyone for 6 straight years makes this new confession seem like I just want a Pulitzer. By other stuff, I assume he means like relationship-y stuff, but it is in fact just a bit unclear. Like, he's not being super clear and direct, so leave some room for like interpretation. Not my favorite vibe. So Tate is like, okay, let's just do sex, but we should probably take it slow, right? If we do this, I think we should take it slow, I say teasingly. I don't want to press you into anything you aren't ready for. You're practically a virgin. They don't have sex right away, but mostly it's only just because Miles doesn't have a condom. But they're making out a lot, like really a lot, and they're downstairs in like a common area of the house. And then Tate's dad walks down. Oh my god. And he's like, well, you're definitely not gay. I would be so embarrassed. I would be so humiliated. They're about to go to bed, and then Miles is like, this is so stupid. His eyes focus on mine for several seconds. Don't ask about my past, he says firmly, and never expect a future. Why is he so aggro? He's so like, oh, sad. I'm over it. I'm done with the emo energy from a grown man. Get a grip. So after he says that, Tate is like, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure the expression I just saw on his face was fear. I just wish I knew what he was scared of, because Lord knows I know exactly what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of how this is going to end. So 6 years earlier, back to Miles. Miles told his best friend Ian about Rachel, and also Rachel has moved into Miles's house. Miles gave Rachel his room because it's like the biggest room in the house, and he moved into spare room because his room is bigger and he wanted Rachel to have it because he's in love with her. And his dad is like, oh my god, you're such a good brother, which is so nasty gross. He says he wishes he and mom could have given me a sibling when I was younger. He says I make a good brother. Rachel and Miles are talking, and they're like, we should set some ground rules, like boundaries about the relationship. These are their rules. Rule number 1, no making out while the parents are home. Great rule. I'm on board. Then she's like, no sex. And he's like, no, what? Why? As though that's not like the most obvious boundary that a person could have ever in the world. In this situation, specifically in particular, right? Like, I don't blame her for not wanting to have sex with her stepbrother. He's like, no, what do you mean? And then she whips out the weirdest reason ever in the world I have ever heard. Of the laundry list of reasons why not having sex with each other is a good idea, her reason is not on, it's like nowhere in there. She's like, it would make leaving just like so much harder. Miles is like, oh, are we both virgins? And neither of them are, but Miles is like, well, I wish I was. She asks I'm a virgin, but her voice is timid when she asks it. No, I say, but now that I met you, I kind of wish I was. And then they're kissing. 5 pages later, they're like kissing more, and then Rachel tells Miles that she loves him, and then they boink. What happened to the boundaries, you guys? What happened to the ground rules? Why are you porking? What if I took a nap right now? What would you do? Anyway, back to the present time. They're back from Thanksgiving, and Miles and Tate are flirting over text. And then somehow Tate ends up in Miles' apartment. Don't know how that happened. Don't know that I love that. Once we're in his bedroom, I begin to grow apprehensive. Mostly because this is his place, and this whole situation is pretty much on his terms, and I feel at a bit of a disadvantage. That's concerning to me. Hey, have we heard of open and honest communication about our feelings? I feel like this would fix a lot of sort of what's going on here. Miles is like, hey, we can go slow. And she doesn't want to, though, because he's leaving for a 9-day trip because he's a pilot or whatever. And then they are boinking. It's many pages long, and I'm tired. Thank you. And then right after they finish porking, his vibe is like, girl, leave. Like, his vibe is kind of like, please get out of my house, which he's very confused by because she thought that they liked each other. He walks back into the bedroom and bends down to pick up his boxer shorts. He picks up my underwear and jeans in the process and lays them on the bed beside me. I'm guessing that's his hint that he wants me to get dressed. So one day he texts Tate and he says that he needs help with something. And turns out the thing he needs help with is measuring like curtain rods for his house because he's gonna buy curtains and maybe a rug. First of all, he's trying to make his house more livable for a human woman, which is quite nice, instead of just like single straight man. And then also, he asks her to come with him to buy these curtains, which she really shouldn't do because that's a marriage task. That's a long-term relationship task. The person you're casually boinking, you don't buy curtains with them. But she says yes because she loves him. And unfortunately, once again, this is so me-coded. I really will say yes to anything for the plot. I'm going to tell you a really embarrassing story. This is a judgment-free zone, please and thank you. So there's this girl and quite literally the first time we ever hung out socially, and not even, she was driving me somewhere. We like had hardly spoken. She invited me to go on a cross-country road trip with her, and my dumbass said yes. And then every time I told this to my friends, they were like, you can't go on this road trip. And I was like, no, I can. It'll be fun. Now, unfortunately, the road trip did not come to fruition for other unrelated reasons, but I would have gone. I would have gone on that road trip. It would have been fun, probably. Maybe it would have been bad. I don't know. Anyway, all this to say, if the person that I was sleeping with, but who did not like me in any way, asked me to go get curtains with them, I would be saying yes. So Miles and Tate head to the curtain store, and on their way, there is this homeless man. I've always been sympathetic to people who have nothing and nowhere to go. Corbin hates that I can never pass a homeless person without giving them money or food. He says the majority of them are homeless because they have addictions, and that when I give them money, it only feeds those addictions. Honestly, I don't care if that's the case. If someone is homeless because he has a need for something that is stronger than his need for a home, it doesn't deter me in the least. Maybe it's because I'm a nurse, but I don't believe addiction is a choice. Addiction is an illness, and it pains me to see people forced to live this way because they're unable to help themselves. But she doesn't have any money in her purse to give this unhoused man, so they just have to keep walking. And okay, certainly this is Colleen Hoover's attempt to be not anti-homeless. To be like, wow, look, unhoused people are human too. Who would have thought? But Colleen Hoover has such a hard time writing about any topic that needs to be treated with any amount of depth and nuance that it comes off so weird. She's like, yeah, well, my family hates homeless people, but I'm a nurse, so I know better. And, she's not wrong. That's not an incorrect take, but it just feels weird. It feels like maybe why? Why is this in this book? Because Colleen Hoover is such a not very good writer that any attempt to discuss an important issue falls flat because she just does not have the skill to discuss it in the manner that it deserves. It's the same as in Heart Bones, when they're talking about the whole eating disorder subplot. You don't have the skill to handle this in the way that it needs to be handled to not feel a little harmful, you know? Anyway, so they go to the curtain store. Miles finds the curtains that he wants and he buys them. And he also buys a rug. And then Tate is like, damn, that was really fast. And he's like, you think we should just stick around for a little bit? And then they're making out in this literal store. Have some decorum, goddammit. You can't just be making out in the middle of a store, in the middle of a West Elm. So he buys the curtain, he buys a blanket. They're walking back to their house or their car or whatever, and they pass by this unhoused man again. So back when they were first walking to the store, when Tate didn't have any money to give the man, she just kind of stares at, she doesn't give him anything, she just kind of stares at him. Weird energy. Maybe don't stare at strangers, that's fucking strange. On their way back out of the shop, after Miles has bought this blanket and these curtains, they pass the homeless man again, and Miles gives the blanket to him. And my absolute favorite trope, and by that I of course mean my least favorite, drives me fucking crazy, is when the love interests start boinking and then the straight man discovers compassion and empathy. Why? What? Why in books some men are just fully incapable of seeing other people as actual humans until the woman that they are having sex with is a compassionate person? It's baffling to me, actually. I don't understand it at all, and it drives me a little bit crazy. So they get back to the apartment. Tate goes to study, and Miles puts up his curtains, and then he invites her over, and they boink. Ugh. So, back to 6 years in the past. Of course, Rachel and Miles have been sexing it up, and Miles is totally in love with Rachel. Miles is also having, a crisis of faith, randomly, because after his mom died, he stopped believing in God, and then he met Rachel, and he's like, God damn, God must be real because you're so hot and sexy. What? I didn't think God would make someone go through that much physical pain. I didn't think God would make someone suffer like she suffered. I didn't think God was capable of making someone go through something so ugly. But then I met you, and every single day since then, I've wondered how someone could be so beautiful if there wasn't a God. I've wondered how someone could make me so incredibly happy if God didn't exist. And I realized just now that God gives us the ugliness so we don't take for granted the beautiful things in life. Have you ever met someone so hot and sexy that you're like, damn, God must be real because you're so hot? Because I personally haven't. And then Rachel is like, lol, my period is late and I'm pregnant, and I am so angry about that. Why are the step siblings having a baby together? Back to the future / present. Miles got a promotion to captain, and he's the youngest captain at the airline, so they all got to dinner to celebrate. Tate, Miles, Corbin, and Ian. Ian is Miles's friend from the past. Dylan was not invited because Dylan is a bad person. During dinner, they're chatting about Corbin's sex life and Miles's lack thereof. And Corbin is like, let's go out there and find you a girl to end your dry spell. And Miles is like, darn, I'm so tired. I can't. And Tate gets all red and sort of flustered. Miles is like, I gotta go home. And Tate is like, me too, I'm so tired. And they think they're being all subtle, but everybody with eyes can tell that they are boinking, and they're all uncomfortable about it, I'm certain. Let's hurry up in order so I can go back to my apartment and sleep. It feels like I haven't slept in more than 9 days, and it's all I've been able to think about. In fact, I kind of have the urge to fall asleep right now. Tate is like blushing, and none of these people at this table are stupid. They can all pick up on what's going on. You're not being slick. You're being weird. So Tate and Miles go back to Tate's car, and everyone else goes out to the bar. And Tate parked at the hospital because she's a nurse. And then it starts raining while they're walking over, and they're making out in the rain. And then they get into the car, and they literally boink in the car. I'm pretty sure she drives a Ford Focus too, which is amongst one of the least sexy cars. Actually, honestly, Ford Focus feels pretty neutral, like not sexy, not unsexy. But let me tell you, top 5 least sexy cars in no particular order. PT Cruiser, Honda Element. I hate a Honda Element. A Nissan Cube, a Kia Soul, and a Prius. I don't know if you've ever tried to jumpstart a Prius. Not sexy. Not sexy to jumpstart a Prius because they're a hybrid and the battery's in the back. Anyway, they boink, and then they drive back to his apartment and boink some more. And then afterward, Tate is like, why don't you ever make eye contact when we're having sex? And he's like, it's too vulnerable. I don't want you to fall in love with me. And if we make eye contact while we're banging, then you'll fall in love with me. And in her heart, she's like, I wish you would look me in the eyes while we boink. But in real life, she's like, yeah, totally fair. I mean, I get it. I don't want to have feelings either. It's like, that's the right choice. So it's the past. Rachel takes a pregnancy test. Guess what? She is for sure pregnant. I stand up and grab the folders, then spread them out on the bed. I show her everything. I show her brochures for family housing I picked up from campus. I show her the forms we need to fill out for free campus childcare. I show her the financial aid brochures and the night classes and the online course review and the academic advisor list and how it will all coordinate with my flight class schedule. All the possibilities are spread out before her. Listen, if I, God forbid, ever found myself in a similar situation, I can tell you for free, my first instinct would not be, let's figure this out. Hey, we can make this work. I don't want to make it work. I don't want to. Sorry, you're telling me you're pregnant with your stepbrother's child? You guys are 17, 18, and no one's even mentioning or considering an abortion? Why? I'll tell you what I wouldn't be doing is filling out student family housing applications. No, sir. I'd be running straight to that clinic. Anyway, back to the present. It is Thursday sport night, and Dylan is hitting on Tate again, and everyone's real uncomfortable. And Miles whispers in her ear, he's like, ask if you can study at my place. And so they stage this whole argument, and she gets all angry about how they're all being too loud, and then she's like, I just have to go over to Miles's place to study because you guys are being too loud. And so Miles walks her over, and then they kiss. And then when the game is over, Miles comes back to his place and they're kissing again, and he's like, you haven't had a day off since Thanksgiving, you must be so tired. And she's like, his mouth touches mine again, but his lips can't compare to what his words do to me. I never knew thoughtfulness could be such a turn on. Oh my god, have a standard. Please have standards. Basic human decency, you said that is the hottest and sexiest thing a person could have said. So they have sex without a condom, and then Miles gets like really weird and distant. Oh boy, I hope he doesn't have weird pregnancy trauma. And how odd would it be if it happened to involve his stepsister? Surely not. That would be too crazy. 6 years earlier. So Rachel is starting to like show. I hate pregnancy. I'm sorry. Like, you know, the miracle of life or whatever. I think that the idea of like growing a person inside of you just feels disgusting to me. Love and light to you if that's your journey. It certainly isn't mine. I think Rachel and Miles' parents are engaged to be wed, and Rachel is pregnant, so things are feeling pretty disastrous right now. But of course, these literal teenagers don't have any concept of how fucked this situation is. So they're just like traipsing around the house, like playing home and picking out baby names. And they decide if it's a girl, it'll be named Claire. And if it's a boy, Miles gets to pick the name. He decides on what the name is going to be, but he refuses to tell Rachel until after the baby is born. And he's like, it's really meaningful. Don't worry about it. It's really meaningful. And I just know it's some fuck ass weird name. Don't piss me off right now. Back to the present. Miles and Tate haven't spoken in almost a week after the weird, they had sex without a condom, and then Miles got weird about it. And then Tate is like, damn, I can see why he hasn't been in a relationship for 6 years. He doesn't know how to treat a woman. But that evening, Miles pulls up and he apologizes for being weird. He says that he's sorry, but he doesn't give any context about why he behaved in the way that he did or like what he was actually feeling. He was just like, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry. So like, I don't really feel like that's like totally an apology, because what are you apologizing for and why were you like that? But he says he's sorry, and I think Tate forgives him. And then they go to the airport to watch some planes take off, and he's like, if we keep doing this, it'll just get worse. I don't want to hurt you. He sighs heavily. I just wanted it to be fun, but I think you might have different expectations from mine, and I don't want to hurt you, and if we keep doing this, I will. Bullshit, buddy. You don't get to use that as a cop-out for your shitty behavior. That's making me fucking angry. Don't piss me off. He ended it with her because he's like, well, we have mismatched expectations of what we want out of this, which, like, feels fine. Like, that's a great choice. If you two want something completely different out of a relationship, then, like, you're not meant to be. Tate gets really mad. I nod. Yes, Miles, you're right. I am. Because I like you. And I know you like me, and when we're together, it's phenomenal, and that's what normal people do. When they find someone they're compatible with, they open up to them. They let them in. They want to be with them. They don't frick them against their kitchen table and then walk away and make them feel like complete shit. Yeah, okay, sure. So he says, which is crazy, it's a good thing we weren't friends first. It would have made this a lot harder. She says, either admit you want me for more than just sex or take me home, and then he takes her home. And she's all sad. And so Tate talks to her elderly friend Cap about it. Now, Cap is the guy from the very beginning of the book. He works in the elevator, and he's about 75. They're best friends, her and Tate. Okay, 6 years earlier. I think earlier I said that the parents were already engaged. I lied, actually. What actually happened is they went out of town to Vegas on, like, a business trip. They came back. They were already married. And then during this conversation where Miles' dad is like, surprise, we're married, Miles decides it's the perfect time to drop the whole pregnancy bomb on the family. The dad is like, who's responsible for this? And Miles is like, haha, it's me. And then Miles tells Rachel that he loves her, and his dad punches him in the face. I'm sorry, I say to both of them. We didn't mean for it to happen, but it happened, and now we have to deal with it. I love her, I say. I'm in love with your daughter. I'll take care of them. We've got this. Ugh. Okay, so we're back to the present. I'm sort of bored of the whole Tate storyline, so I might speedrun it a little bit. The long and short of it is that Miles likes Tate, and Tate likes Miles, but neither of them want to tell each other how much they like each other, so it's just, like, really tedious. It's a lot of back and forth. I don't care, okay? I don't care. I don't like them. And so they were, like, sleeping together, but, like, no feelings. But obviously, feelings got involved. And then Corbin finds out about Tate and Miles, and he's really angry. So Corbin confronts Miles and is like, well, do you love her? And Miles is like, no. And Corbin is like, well, are you planning on loving her eventually? And Miles is like, actually, I'm not capable of that. So Corbin leaves, and Miles and Tate are together. Miles is like, I just don't know how to deal with this thing between us. I don't know an easy or even polite way to say this, but what I said to Corbin is the truth. I'll never love anyone again. It's not worth it to me. But I'm being unfair to you. I know I'm messing with your head, and I know I've hurt you, and I'm sorry for that. I just like being with you, but every time I'm with you, I'm scared you're seeing it for more than it really is. Call me crazy, but I actually think that, like, this open and honest communication about people's expectations is, like, a green flag. He is decidedly not leading her on because he does not want a relationship. He does not want to be, like, romantically involved, and he's telling her this, and she's, like, sort of deciding that he's actually lying, which you can't do that. Something I was talking about in therapy recently is that when people tell you how you feel, you just have to believe them. You can't assume that you know this person better than they know themselves, and you just have to trust that if a person is, like, emotionally mature enough to be in touch with their feelings, they will just be honest with you. And if they're not being honest with you and they're doing this, like, weird covert mind games, and, like, why would you want to be with them anyway, you know? Some more stuff happens. It's not important. It's, like, more of the same. There was a plane crash. And as we remember, Corbin and Miles and all their friends are all pilots, but everyone is okay. Like, nobody that the people in the plane crash died, but nobody that they knew was in this plane crash. So it, like, plot-wise kind of does very little. I guess maybe what it's supposed to show is that, like, Tate loves Miles because the first person that she calls when she finds out about this plane crash is Miles. But, like, who gives a fuck? They already knew that. We already knew that. Okay, 6 years earlier, Rachel has given birth. Miles decides, it's a boy, so Miles decides to name the child Clayton after the teacher whose class they met in. And this is why teenage boys should not be allowed to name actual human children. That's a stupid reason for a name. Rachel said she wanted the name to be something meaningful, and they said, what about my high school teacher? What about my high school teacher, Mr. Clayton? Huh? And then they spend a really crazy amount of time talking about their baby's circumcision, and I feel crazy reading about it. It's insane. Like, what am I reading? I'm so sorry, Clayton. I know it'll hurt, and I know it's emasculating, but he's a day old, Rachel interjects with a laugh. There's hardly anything that can emasculate him yet. I tell her to hush. I tell her that I'm having a father-son moment and she needs to pretend she's not here. That's fucking weird. That's a weird thing to include in your book. It's like a couple pages, maybe 2 or 3 pages, which I felt uncomfortable reading about. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be open and vulnerable right now. And then Miles's dad says that he's proud of him, which is like, oh, very sweet, touching father-son moment. He's like, you made the best out of a bad situation. I'm proud of you. Even some, like, people who are adults wouldn't have known what to do in this situation. So, like, good on on you for handling it well. And everyone's happy. And we're so close to the end of the book. Hopefully nothing's gonna go wrong. Back to the present. Tate and Miles are hanging out in the apartment pool. I gotta say, I love a pool. This might be a hot take. I fuck with a public pool. I know it's gross, but like a community center pool, a rec center pool, I'm into that. It's, as I said, 1,000 degrees out where I am right now. Too hot. I don't think there's a pool anywhere near where I live. And I certainly don't have any rich friends who have private pools. Anyway, they're chatting in this pool and Miles whips out a very red flag-ish sort of vibe. Tate, he whispers, I know I regret saying this, but I want you to hear it. If I was capable of loving someone, it would be you. But I'm not capable of it. Go to therapy and fix your shit. I swear to God. Tate ends up moving out of Corbin's house. Miles kisses her in front of Corbin, so Tate's brain is like, oh my God, we're in love. They're not in love. Well, she might be in love. I don't know that Miles feels exactly that way. Miles is like, that's what we've been doing, Tate. Freaking. I made that clear from day one. And then Tate goes, you think you've made that clear? You are so full of shit, Miles. There's a huge difference between freaking someone and making love to them. You haven't fricked me in more than a month. Every time, oh my God. Every time you're inside me, you're making love to me. I can see it in the way you look at me. You miss me when we are together. You think about me all the time. You can't even wait 10 seconds to walk in your own front door before coming to see me. So don't you dare try to tell me you've been clear from day one, because you're the murkiest goddamn man I've ever met. Okay, back to the past. This is probably the most famous part of this book, and as I said at the beginning, I went into this book knowing nothing. I just said, a Colleen Hoover book. Oh, and it's on sale. I'll buy it. But if you have heard anything about this book, you've probably heard about this part. There's literally nothing I can do if you are somehow unaware of what I'm talking about. I cannot prepare you for what I'm about to read, but I have to read it straight off the page so you know that I'm not making anything up or exaggerating, because this is insane. Thank you for the baby, she says from the back seat. He's beautiful. I laugh. You're responsible for the beautiful part, Rachel. The only thing he got from me was his balls. She laughs. She laughs hard. Oh my God, I know, she says. They're so big. We both laugh at our son's big balls. Nope, I'm done. I can't do this. What do you mean? You both laugh at your son's big balls. Moving swiftly along, we don't have time to linger on that. So they're laughing at their son's big balls, and then the very next page, they get into a car crash that kills Clayton. Absolutely heinous and diabolical for the last thing you ever say about your child while they are alive to be laughing at their big balls. I just need to know what was going on in Colleen Hoover's brain while she was writing this. Like, how did that come from her brain? And she said, oh, I know. They'll laugh at their son's big balls, and then the son will die. And then she wrote that out, and then she sent it off to an editor, and then it got published. How? What are we doing, you guys? What are we doing here? Hey, quick question, what the fuck are we doing here? Obviously, this car crash sort of tears Rachel and Miles' relationship apart because they're grieving and they're teenagers, so they don't really know how to handle any of this. And Miles promises that he'll never love anybody again after Rachel, so they break up. Then we get a chapter that is set in the present, but from Miles' perspective, even though every Miles chapter we've gotten before this has been in the past. Now we're in the present. Ian gives Miles some tough love and is like, you're an idiot. You're clearly in love with Tate. She's in love with you. You can't fumble this. And Miles is like, well, what's done is done. I kind of already fucked it up, so whoops. And then Tate's elderly friend Cap, who works at the elevator, gives Miles some sage wise advice, some sage old guy advice. You believe you took away that girl's chance at happiness, and until you confront your past, you won't ever move forward. You're gonna be reliving that day every single day until you die, unless you go see for your own eyes that she's okay. Then maybe you'll see it's okay for you to be happy too. He's talking about Rachel there. So he's basically, Cap is saying to Miles that he needs to see that Rachel can be happy in order to like let himself be happy. Then the next chapter is from Rachel's perspective. Because why not? Everyone gets a chapter. So Rachel is like married and has a baby and has like dealt with her grief and is like, you know, has moved through it in a pretty good way. And her advice to Miles is basically that like he deserves to be happy and he shouldn't hold himself back from happiness. And then everything's all fine and Miles is like well adjusted now, I guess. So then Tate gets, it's a Tate chapter. It's a chapter from Tate's perspective. And Tate runs into Miles and he does like a big profession of his feelings. I miss you, Tate, he says immediately. So much. and it's not the first time. I've missed you every single day. We weren't together since the moment I met you. And then he tells Tate that he had a son and the son died and it like devastated him and that's why he is the way that he is. And then they go out on a plane ride and Miles asks Tate to move in with him. The end. Except not really, because there's an epilogue. One thing about me, I hate a Colleen Hoover epilogue. They always make me fucking angry. So because obviously I can't have any happiness or peace in my life, we have a fuck ass epilogue, and in the epilogue they get married and they have a daughter, and then the end. This was not a good book. I mean, I had a great time reading it. So funny, not good. Yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. Nobody get too excited, right? Because we all know I read really slow. But I started reading the first Mortal Instruments book the other day. I can't believe that got published. It's so bad. In about 6 months to a year, keep your eye out for that one. Goodreads, Instagram, it's all linked below. There's a submission box if you want to suggest your own shitty book for me to read. Okay, bye.